Congressman. I'm Mary Ann Deutsch.
Yep.
Some of the property in the airport.
Why do I
yes.
know you?
We talked quite
Yes,
often.
ma'am.
Because we're in the airport, and not to get into that right now. But I would like to keep up this discussion. When you talk about career, one of the things that I've learned, I wasn't always a farm wife, having become a farm wife, being a county board member for many years, representing the agriculture community. The other thing I think you learn is, before we eat each meal, we wash our hands and we get the dirt off of our hands. But you'll find out farmers wash their hands and they get the dirt off their hands, but the soil never does leave their soul. I mean, it's with them. That's why, there is not a price that Deutsche Farms would ever commit to give away something that's part of their soul. So that is, and I know you're mindful of that, and I know I've shared that with you as this issue has gone on since 1988 and we've lived through it. But I want you to keep that in mind as you think about, I know there are many issues that we can agree on and work hand in hand on, and I think that's our responsibility. That's the kind of farm people are.
Ms. Deutsch, there's no easy answer.
No, I know.
What I can share with you is that I'm very sensitive to this point that you're raising. I spent a considerable amount of time in Iowa campaigning in 1984 and 1988 for my father. I had never thought about farm-related issues or the impact of family farming. At the time in 1984 and 1988, ConAgra, Cargill, a lot of big agribusinesses were buying family farmers out of their property, out of their land, who were in distress. In our 1984 and 1988 campaigns, Jim Hightower of Texas, the Secretary of Agriculture, was one of the co-chairs of my father's national campaign. And much of our campaign, unlike the other campaigns, were about the preservation of family farm values, the recognition that the soil is a part of you, that generations of families have farmed this land and prayed these prayers.
Yes.
And that is not something that I'm insensitive to. When I spent time with the Johnsons a few days ago, it was impressed upon me as Miss Paula Johnson drove down the street, she was sharing with me that my grandparents farmed here, this homestead here, my grandparents farmed there, and so as this seasonal cycle of family tradition is rehearsed over and over again, I don't want to underestimate or underscore just how sensitive I am to the family farm issue. I really do mean that.
Sure.
With that said, the new 2nd Congressional District has an urban population that represents a significant part of who we are now. If I'm fortunate enough to be elected your congressman, I will be taking many of the values and many of the prayers that you've prayed north. And I'm going to ask them for your understanding, because their congressman is growing, and I've been carrying all of their concerns as their representative for Washington. I now carry your concerns, if I'm fortunate enough to be your congressman, to Washington. At the same time, I'm going to bring to you everything you've ever needed to know about urban life and how rough it is. And I'm going to bring you their prayers. And it's going to be a long prayer meeting and revival to get us to arrive at a single prayer. We're praying to the same God, but I would imagine that God is...
Which way?
Kind of like you're going to be.
That God's got whiplash now. I hear you. I'm going to give y'all some rain. Hey, I hear you. Y'all need jobs.
Yeah.
I'm working on, I got
Right.
to work on both now.
Right.
And I'm going to give you rain. I'm going to give y'all jobs. And then we all going to be happy.
Right.
But bordering the nearest agricultural rural area in the new 2nd Congressional District is a massive unemployment problem that the President of the United States presently cannot fix. That the Congress of the United States has shown an unwillingness to fix. And at the same hour that we stand here, Tens of thousands of people are planning to shut down Wall Street. Thousands of people are planning to shut down LaSalle Street. Others are shutting down the stock market in ways that they are trying to. Others are trying to shut down the government. Others are trying to shut down the commodities exchange. And if we don't address this problem of 25 million unemployed Americans, you will never get a fair price. That's just north of you. That's the problem that's happening just north of you. They shut down the commodities exchange. I don't care how many tractors of corn you haul and dump in there, you will not get a fair price if there's no commodity exchange. And if you grow the corn and someone else gets to make the ethanol, and someone who's never been on a farm gets to make tens of millions of dollars from your labor, that's not fair. And somehow the analogy seems to work for me that in the history of African Americans who are knocking at the door of this rural area, they picked cotton but couldn't make jeans.
Yeah.
You plant corn and grow corn, but you don't make ethanol. So if there's a common language that emerges between our common plight, then there's the possibility that we can come together and have broader and better understanding.